Hi everyone. The painting that you see behind me I created a few years ago, and it is a good representation of the type of work that I do. It's acrylic on canvas, and it measures 37 inches by 58 inches long. And the subject matter for my painting is based on my actual photography. The reason why I'm showing you one of my acrylic on canvas paintings is I'm using it as an introduction to digital paintings that I've been experimenting with for the past few months. The image that you see behind me is a digital painting that I just finished. It's from a scene that I photographed while visiting Kent Falls in Connecticut with the family. And the painting that you see here is based on a series of photographs and drawings that I did at the actual site. Having been experimenting with digital painting during the past few months, I see a tremendous similarity between what I do on the tablet and what I do on my canvas. I actually begin the painting the same way and develop it stroke by stroke the same way that I would do on a canvas. And I'd also like to mention that the video that you're about to see is not intended to be a how-to video on digital painting. I'm simply showing you the steps that I went through as a painter to create this image on my tablet. This is an actual sketch that I did while we were visiting Kent Falls back in 2010. To begin the digital painting, I start by drawing the image directly on my tablet while viewing the original source photographs on a computer monitor. I began the painting in paper 53. And did most of the development using paper 53. Then eventually I switched over to Procreate to finish it up. The large circular tool that you see me turning is the color mixing tool. I'm selecting colors from the palette located in the lower right-hand corner. Then I blend the colors using the large circle-shaped blending tool. This allows me to achieve any kind of variation on the two colors that I select to blend. I never add any detail during the early stages of a painting. The detail seems to automatically emerge as I build into the surface with lines and color washes. Right now, I'm switching back and forth between the paintbrush tool and the pencil tool. The changes are very subtle, but if you watch closely, you'll see the changes occurring throughout the image. At this stage, I put quite a bit of time into developing the image. I'm still using paper 53, and I'm continuing to observe my subject matter on the computer monitor, and I'm working in the colors. This is my color selection palette right over here, and you can push it up, and you have quite an array of colors to choose from that you could actually blend. Think of these like tubes of paint. Winsy yellow light, cadmium orange, titanium white, chromium green oxide. I'm just approximating what I see here. Cerulean blue, epothal red. Now the nice thing is, if you select a color here, let me just show you. Let's take cerulean blue. And now I have this yellow ochre looking color over here. But if I highlight the cerulean blue, now go over to my large color wheel and start to turn, I can modulate the color to the color that I've selected, or select any mixed combination in between. That's wonderful. I see in the rock a little of this beautiful sort of bluish, ochreish color added right about here. And this is another feature. If If you take your two fingers, very useful, you can enlarge the section. Here, let me do that again. I'll take my two fingers, put them on the tablet. There, I have a magnifying glass. And I like to keep it large when I work with a magnifying glass. You could adjust it down to any size you want. Now, I intend to take the color I just mixed and work it into the rock. So, I will use my pencil tool. See, it's subtle. This is why I'm not showing you every step of the way as I work on this, because you'd be bored to death. The changes are subtle. The stylus that you see me working with is a pressure-sensitive stylus, and the brand is Pogo Connect. Yeah, that goes good. I'm picking up a little reflection. Let's get rid of the magnifying glass for a minute. There, what will become a rock is reflecting down into the water. So, we talked about mixing color. Here, look, I select that, I go to my purple. I select the red, I can modulate to red. Select the white, move it to white. Now look, I combine that and that, I got a good pink. Let's see what happens with the blue. We're working into the blue. The color sensitivity is absolutely amazing. But there's another way to mix that I use more often, and here's how. Let's press that. I have color bars here, where I can jump right in and mix any combination of the colors that I want. Now, I'd like to do some more work on the rock. So I'm going to zoom in. I see some very strong brownish highlights in this area. Move that to the yellow end. Move that to the more saturated, and I don't want it that dark. This determines the value of the color. In terms of shade, this determines the value of the color. In terms of highlight and saturation. So where do we want to go? I see a little bit more red there. Bring that down a notch. See what I'm getting? Yeah. Go to my pencil tool. Now I'm working in the golden color that I just mixed with my pencil tool into the rock area. Start to work it in, scribbling away. There, see? A little of that beautiful warmish color up there. Yeah, get some of that brown in here. I can also work with washes of color, and that's how I like to develop images. I work back and forth with line and washes. And here, my watercolor brush. You see in the photo, very rich browns in this area. A little too dark for me right now. I'm not happy with that. Let me rewind. Good, got rid of it. I'm gonna lighten it just a little bit. And maybe add some more yellow. Yeah. A little bit more yellow. Okay. Now I'm going to work in I decided it's time to mix a little green and work on the background foliage. A little denser foliage in this area. Deeper green, I should say. I move around the surface with my mixed color, scribbling it in wherever I think it should go. It's amazing what happens as the squiggles come together. I've switched to the watercolor brush tool in order to apply larger washes of transparent green. Can actually work with glazes of color. I'm very carefully stroking in some of this transparent watercolor wash in the tree area, and what that is effectively doing is pushing my browns. It's pushing it into the shade a bit. There's one other tool that I would like to mention, and that is the eraser. Be careful with that. Watch. I highlighted the eraser. Don't accidentally save your work without studying it carefully to make sure you didn't make any unintended marks like that. That would really upset me if I came back to that and found that there. No fear. It's gone. I rewound it. At this stage, I have worked on the image exclusively in Paper 53. Now, I would like to have more control over my tools, which will give me finer control over the level of detail that I can achieve. So, having developed the image as far as I intend to in Paper 53, I will continue to build it using Procreate. Now, in Procreate, I'd like to start to work into the lighter values that I see in the rocks that are submerged under the water. The first thing I'll do is select the paintbrush tool. There is a large variety of tools that you can work with. For sketching, Procreate gives you a number of different types of pencils. Inking gives you a selection of pens. Painting, which is primarily what I like to use in Procreate. And my favorite brush, it's already selected, is the flat brush. For me, what seems to work well with digital painting is to limit the amount of tools that I use. And in Procreate, the only one I ever really have a need for is the flat brush. Occasionally, I'll use the airbrush. Flat brush is selected. I'm not changing any of its default settings. Let's click on Done. And go back to the image. Now, the sliders on the right control the degree of opacity that you can achieve with the brush, from a very faint, almost invisible mark to a very bold and strong mark. For example, here, let's put everything up high. Now I step back, of course, as that control. Last thing I want to do is that to my painting. I'll create a smaller brush down to 7% of its possible size. See? Now we'll step back. Only one other thing I like to mention. Whenever I work on an image, what I like to do is create a new layer and work on that layer, just in case something terribly goes wrong. I don't damage my previous layers of work. See, that's the bottom layer that you see here. Now the top layer. If I get rid of the bottom layer, nothing. Good. Make the main piece visible. Add a top layer to work on, and let's do some work. Now I wanted to lighten up these stones underneath the water, so number one, I want to reduce the size of my tool because it's huge. I want to use basically a white. Maybe with a little bit of a hint towards a slightly warmer color. But essentially white. Okay. Let's see how this works. It's not only necessary to mix the color, but it's also necessary to adjust the color's transparency. It is the degree of transparency that will enable the color to integrate in the correct way with the image. Now I'll mix some green to work on the foliage and some of the moss that's on top of the rocks. Not only do I mix the green color that I want, but as I work it through the surface, I often adjust the transparency and also the size of the brush. My method of painting, either on a canvas or on a digital screen, is to analyze the color area, find a color that I need to apply, and then I weave that color through the entire surface of the painting to create my detail. And I've adjusted the opacity of the color to give me the correct degree of transparency and color saturation. I'm about to wrap up this video demonstration on how I created this digital painting, but I don't want to end without showing you how to select colors in your painting that you've already mixed, want to reuse elsewhere. If you place your stylus on the tablet surface like that and hold it still, a circle appears. Top part of the circle indicates the color that the crosshairs that are located in the middle of the circle are targeting in on. See? That's a burnt umberish kind of look, and there we go. The green that you see here is a pre-selected color that maybe was previously used, and it's indicated up there in the color area. As I drag this around, notice the top part of the circle is changing in response to the color that's being targeted. It's important to note that the action of lifting the stylus off the tablet is what selects the color. Okay, good for a starter brown. Now let me go to that brown. I'm going to make it a little bit more reddish because I see a nice burnt sienna highlight right in that area, right over there. I continue to work color throughout the entire surface of the digital image. And develop my detail by compounding layers and layers of individual colors. There, I'm applying some lighter values to the rocks and the background foliage. I hope this video conveys a clear idea as to how I created my digital painting. Thanks for watching.